Hey everyone, we're at Donkey Projections. I'm Eric and we have Lucas as always.
Hey everyone.
So today we're going to be looking at the 2020 presidential election map, but we're going to go through the lens that it is the best case scenario for Biden. What that means is that literally everything goes right for Joe Biden and he's able to perform extremely well in a lot of contested
Mhm.
states and solidify other margins to safes. This is very, very not likely, which is why it's a best case scenario.
Right, it's unlikely, but it is realistic. It realistically can absolutely happen in an election. This is different from our Biden 400 video because we're kind of discussing like what exactly his best case is. For Biden 400 was just like how can he get there. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Let's put in first our safe Democratic states that don't change at all. So the usual suspects. New York will go blue. Um, so will California. We're
And
not going to make a video. Yeah. We're not going to make a video on California. We think that's kind of unnecessary,
that
but
is, yeah, that is way
keep,
too.
keep in mind that California will not go um, red. I think that's actually it. Is that it? I think,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's go through all the safe Trump states. There's a lot fewer this time, considering this is a best case scenario. Um, Nebraska first, I'll keep as safe, but so these are all the safes, which there really aren't that many, I think, for Trump. That might be it.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the new safe states for Biden. In a best case scenario, Nevada moves to safe. Actually, Nevada's debatable. It's borderline safe and likely, but I think I would move to safe. Colorado and New Mexico would move to safe. So would New Hampshire. I'm also a little bit hesitant, but I think at the end of the day could indeed go safe. Minnesota. We were debating about this one whether we keep it as likely or put it as safe. Honestly, this one's also a likely safe one. We don't think Joe Biden's going to have any trouble losing it, even in a regular scenario. Um, but I mean, the polls are narrowing up a little bit. Um,
We made a
Obviously,
video on that yesterday. You can go check it out. But despite this little blip for Biden, as I said, we still do think he's not going to have that many issues winning this state.
right. He was leading in July by 10 points. Now it's down to 5.5. But again, that was his high point. We expected it to narrow down anyway. In a best case scenario, Minnesota technically can go in a safe, although it's really not likely. Hillary did terrible here. She won it by like 1.5. But Biden will definitely improve on her numbers because we say this multiple times. This is not 2016. Joe Biden is much more liked than Hillary Clinton is. Um, in 2016, you had like a lot of people agreed it was a lesser of two evils, even Democrats. It's different this year. The only people saying that Biden's the lesser of two evils is the more progressive wing. Um, Other than that, Biden is pretty much approved of by the Democratic Party. His net approval right now is actually +2. So keep that in mind. Hillary was at negative like 16, and Trump is also around where Hillary is, negative double digits. So keep that in mind. Minnesota would probably flip to safe. So would probably the state of Michigan. Things are looking very good for Biden and Michigan. Indeed, Trump actually also pulled his ads out for Michigan as well. So we do think that will probably go in a safe. Let's talk about the new likely states. Minnesota, we're going to keep. Montana,
Montana.
we're going to keep as likely. Utah, we're keeping as likely. Kansas, we're going to move to likely. We do potentially can see Kansas be going to Trump only in a likely margin, which is 5 to 15 points. If you haven't been on our channel before, let me repeat it actually. Safe is 15 points or higher. Likely is 5 to 15. Lean is 1 to 5. Less than 1 is still. So we think that it can probably go to 5 to 15 in a best case scenario. Same with Louisiana, Mississippi, and South Carolina, same thing. We do usually put these two states as likely in our regular predictions because, likely is a pretty large bandwidth. sorry, I say bandwidth, I'm range. But I think it will probably still fall in there, even in best case scenario for Biden. Missouri would also move to likely. So would Indiana.
It's not realistic to put any of these states lower than a likely, just because they are known to have very conservative Republicans in this state that definitely will vote for Trump.
Right. All right, let's check out the likely Democratic states now. We got some moves here. Oh, I missed Virginia. Virginia would go to safe in a best case scenario. The Republican GOP party is not doing well. Did I just say GOP party? The Republican GOP is not doing well there. Arizona would actually move to a likely, I think, in a best case scenario. Right now in the polls, I think Eric said that Biden was up by 4.6. We don't solely rely our predictions based off of polling, but that's a very good position to be in. In a best case scenario, I do think Biden can carry the state by more than 5 points, for sure. So we're putting Arizona as likely. We know some people who put it as likely in a regular prediction. We don't think it's that. Yeah, we have it as lean still. Wisconsin would also move to likely. We consider Wisconsin to be likely safe. It's definitely in the middle there. We were considering putting it as safe, but in a best case scenario, I think that Biden will probably still win it less than 15 points. And the same can be said about Pennsylvania as well. It'll probably also be less than 15 points.
I feel like Wisconsin is the one state that Donald Trump is holding on to. He is really he wants to or is relying on the people in Wisconsin to vote for him. And it is the state most likely to go to him in the Rust Belt. So it's not reasonable to put it as safe yet, but it is in a very good position for Joe Biden.
Right. I'm actually thinking about it now. In a best case scenario, do you think Biden can really carry Minnesota in more than 15 points? I'm trying to think. With what we're seeing right now, there's a potential that it could go actually less than 15 points realistically.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm thinking it can. I'm thinking likely then. Let's move it back to likely. Sorry about that. Michigan, we're borderline on between likely and safe. We'll say that for Michigan as well. All right, best case scenario. Let's move on to our leans now. I missed Florida. Florida definitely can go in a likely, I think, in a best case scenario. Polling is looking quite good for Biden. Coronavirus is definitely not helping Trump's situation in Florida either. So we're putting this one as likely. North Carolina.
Yes, sorry. We might, or we even are expecting a few more blips in areas like Florida and North Carolina, because these are areas where speakers of the Republican National Convention are speaking. For example, there was a businessman, I think his name was Maximo, I forgot his last name, but he was an immigrant from Cuba, and he spoke, and he's from Florida. Donald Trump introduced kind of his convention in North Carolina. So we could expect some blips here in the polls. But once again, Florida is in a pretty good position for Joe Biden.
I mean, yeah, it's possible, but we might not see as much of a convention bump, not even for the Democrats either, because it's not really in person and live. All right, North Carolina would probably go in a lean in a best case scenario for Biden. I mean, there is potential that he could win by more than 5 points, but right now it's really not likely. I'm expecting probably a 1 to 2 point victory, maybe even less than that by November. So we're putting this one as lean on this one. I think Nebraska's second probably can go in a lean, either a lean or likely. We're going to keep it as lean. I don't know if he's going to vote more than 5 points, but definitely more than just 1 point in a best case scenario. And the last lean is Alaska. Alaska polling does look quite good for Biden right now, but we can't really trust polling 100% there. So we're going to actually put this one as a lean instead. We're going to actually now head to Texas now. Eric can talk about Texas briefly. We are going to give this one to Biden in a best case scenario. We do see potential that it can flip to Biden in a best case scenario.
Mm-hmm. So at the moment, in the polls at least, Texas has been very, very back and forth. When we made our video about Texas, that new poll showed Biden up by a point or so, and he did hold that lead for about a week. It went back to Trump in about a week, and Donald Trump has been holding that lead in the polls. And it's not that big, though. It's like 0.9, 0.7. So Texas is very contested, which is surprising to say because a few years ago, who would have thought that the known Republican state of Texas is, flipping and very contested. There are a lot of Latinos and Latinas here, and they are supporting the Democrats, and surprisingly, it's very contested at the moment. Do I think in reality that Texas can go to Joe Biden? It's more for me of a no than a yes. It's just, and he shouldn't even devote that much time because there are more important states that are easier and more realistic to get that don't require much effort. But in a best case, it is possible, but not likely.
Again, it's realistic, but it's not. It's not likely. All right, let's head into Iowa now. Iowa. I'm actually debating on Iowa. We were debating between tilt D or toss up. What do you think on this one, Eric?
Yeah, Iowa should be at least a Republican stronghold for Donald Trump. He did take the state by 9 points. At the moment, unlike Ohio, which has seen a flip in the polls, Iowa has still remained to Donald Trump. I'm really not sure that it's realistic that the Democrats can take it. I would put it as toss-up.
Right. In a best case scenario, I would put it as toss-up, probably a toss-up in between toss-up and tilt D. I mean, technically, I think it is realistic that Biden can carry it, but it's definitely not favored, and I think at most it would probably be a slight favor towards him, like maybe a 0.2 win or something like that. But that's extreme best case scenario. Ohio's a different story. We're going to put this one as tilt D. I think this is definitely possible that Ohio does end up flipping, given the new polling data we have. Potentially Kasich's endorsement of Biden could be helpful in swaying some of those moderate, undecided voters. You got to remember, Trump has a very strong base that you won't probably see someone flip from being a Trump supporter right now and then into a Biden supporter because of a Kasich endorsement. But we could see some of the undecided voters floating to the Biden column after that Kasich endorsement. So I do think potentially Ohio could definitely go to Joe Biden. Georgia, I think in a best case scenario can also probably flip to the Democrats as well. Georgia was carried by Trump by only 5 points compared to like Texas and Iowa and like Ohio. 5 points is pretty small. With a 5-point carry, in a best case, we could see Biden take this state. We saw him leading for a good period of time in the polls in Georgia, which has now diminished. His lead is gone now. Trump has taken the lead, but it has been a bit back and forth. So we think in a best case scenario, Georgia probably can still go to Joe Biden in a tilt.
Mm-hmm. This is probably the state that is probably behind Iowa the most unlikely to flip to blue because, yes, Georgia, it was believed that at one point Georgia could flip, but I really don't see that right now. It's not working out for Joe Biden in such a way that Georgia could, that Democrats would turn out so much in the state unless, once again, something happens before the election.
Interesting. I would actually kind of disagree with that. I think that Georgia probably has a higher chance of flipping than Texas does at the moment. Yeah, somewhere it definitely has a higher chance than Texas of flipping. All right, Maine 2nd District, very rural area. Obama was able to carry this. Do we think Biden can carry? Again, we went back and forth on this one too. I don't think so. He doesn't have too much of a chance. It's kind of like an Iowa situation. I would put this one as probably in between toss-up and tilt D. What do you think about that, Eric?
Yeah, me too. Maine 2nd District should be another significant stronghold for Donald Trump, and he should be able to win this in a pretty good margin. I don't imagine Maine 2nd District going to a Democrat that easily. Even the best case, it's going to be very difficult. And once again, it only carries one electoral vote. It's not very useful to Joe Biden. I wouldn't see him trying so hard. I think I would put this as a toss-up.
Yeah, again, Obama was able to carry it, but he was a different kind of candidate. He did excellent in elections, absolutely. All right, so this is the end of the video. Biden at 406. Wow, 400.
That
in a
is a
best.
landslide. That is an actual physical landslide.
I'll say this: even in a Trump best case scenario, he's not getting over 400. Definitely not. Maybe somewhere
Nowhere near.
nowhere near 400. We plotted out the best case scenario for Trump. He's not getting over 400. It's simply unrealistic. But anyways, that is the end of the video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. If you like our content, please hit subscribe. We'll see you in our next episode tomorrow.
See ya.